You wake up. You reach for your toothbrush before you've even opened both eyes. You swipe on deodorant without thinking about it. It's automatic. It's invisible. It's the first thing you do and the last thing you think about. Now imagine none of that exists. No toothpaste, no deodorant, no mouthwash, no daily shower. Just you, your body, and whatever your civilization figured out over thousands of years of trial, error, and a lot of very awkward social situations. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about ancient history. Every single civilization we study had to solve this problem. Every one. And the solutions they came up with range from genuinely brilliant to absolutely unhinged. Let's go find out what your ancestors smelled like, and more importantly, what they did about it. We start in Egypt because Egypt is once again ahead of the curve. Egyptian medical texts, including the Ebers Papyrus, describe recipes for what were essentially the world's first breath mints, a mixture of frankincense, myrrh, and cinnamon rolled into small pellets and chewed slowly. Wealthy Egyptians took hygiene seriously. They bathed regularly in the Nile, used natron, a naturally occurring salt, as a kind of ancient soap, and scented their bodies with perfumed oils, partly for luxury and partly out of genuine practical necessity in a hot desert climate. Egypt understood something most ancient cultures didn't. Smell mattered socially, and they engineered around it early. Greece takes a slightly different approach. The Greeks were obsessed with the gymnasium, and not just for athletics. After exercise, they scraped sweat and oil off their skin using a curved metal tool called a strigil. It wasn't optional, it was basically the ancient equivalent of a post-workout shower, except with a blade. For teeth, Greek writers describe using crushed bones, oyster shells, and charcoal as an abrasive scrub, sometimes mixed with herbs for taste. Was it effective? Somewhat. Was it also probably terrifying to watch someone do? Also, yes. Rome predictably took things to an extreme most people find genuinely disturbing. Roman dental hygiene sometimes involved a substance you would never guess: urine. Specifically, Portuguese urine, imported and taxed as a commercial product, was used as a mouthwash because the ammonia in it acts as a natural whitening and cleaning agent. It sounds insane. It also chemically works. Emperor Nero's own physician wrote about it approvingly. Meanwhile, wealthy Romans used communal bathhouses daily, sometimes for hours, combining bathing, socializing, and business in one steamy, crowded ritual. For body odor specifically, Romans used scented oils and early antiperspirant like alum-based powders. The rich smelled like roses. The poor, working 12-hour days with no bathhouse access, did not. Then things get worse. Medieval Europe is where hygiene genuinely collapses for several centuries, largely due to a bizarre medical belief. Many physicians believed that water opened the pores and let disease into the body. So bathing was seen as dangerous, not healthy. Instead, people relied on dry scrubbing with cloth, heavy perfumes to mask odor, and an enormous amount of denial. Herbal sachets were tucked into clothing. Strong-smelling flowers were carried through streets. This wasn't about cleanliness, it was odor management through pure camouflage. If you couldn't get rid of the smell, you buried it under a stronger one. China takes a completely different and far more advanced route. Chewing sticks made from twigs, frayed at one end to form soft bristles, were used as early toothbrushes as far back as 1600 BCE. Traditional Chinese medicine also connected bad breath directly to internal imbalance, treating it as a symptom of digestive or bodily dysfunction rather than a standalone problem, and prescribing herbal remedies to correct it at the source. This diagnostic approach was, in some ways, more medically sophisticated than what Europe was doing over 1,000 years later. Ancient India developed something you still see today: chewing neem twigs, which contain natural antibacterial compounds that genuinely reduce plaque and bad breath. Ayurvedic texts also describe tongue scraping as a daily ritual, recognizing something modern dentistry only caught up to relatively recently: that bacteria on the tongue is a major source of bad breath, not just the teeth. Here's what's fascinating when you zoom out. Every single one of these civilizations, completely independently, separated by oceans and centuries, arrived at the same core insight. Bacteria and bodily buildup cause odor, and something abrasive, antibacterial, or aromatic can manage it. They didn't know about germs, they didn't have microscopes, but through pure trial and error, repeated across thousands of generations, they landed on solutions that modern science later confirmed actually work. And just like with menstrual care, there's a brutal class divide running through all of it. The wealthy had access to daily bathing, imported perfumes, and dedicated hygiene rituals. The poor had cloth, whatever herbs grew nearby, and a lot of resigned tolerance. Body odor in the ancient world wasn't just biological, it was a visible marker of social status. So next time you brush your teeth in 20 seconds without thinking or roll on deodorant half asleep, remember that you're the beneficiary of thousands of years of people experimenting with sticks, salt, urine, and desperation. Your ancestors didn't have Colgate. They had ingenuity, persistence, and a very strong incentive to not be the smelliest person in the cave. And somehow, against all odds, they figured it out well enough that you're here today, smelling, hopefully, significantly better than they did.